In a world where kingdoms fall and stars still remember names, this song was forged from magic memory and the dream that refused to die. Welcome to a tale where wonder still breathes. This is Stories When the World Remembered Kisses, a poetic fairy tale written by Pacampara. If this tale stirred something in you, a memory, a dream, or a truth, our Ko-fi, Amazon, and Patreon links are in the description. Support helps us keep writing for you and the ones you hold dear. Long before the kingdom had a name, before rivers remembered their courses and the sky knew which to lean, the world fell into a winter so deep it stole even the memory of warmth. Snow blanketed not just the mountains, but the marrow of all things. Things and trees forgot how to bloom, lovers forgot how to touch, and even time froze mid-breath, and the stars dulled in mourning. In that endless frost, the people whispered of a goddess once called Solaria, she who bore the sun in her palms, who lit the world not with fire but with feeling. They say that she had vanished long ago, sealing herself in a sky beyond reach, for she could only rise if she knew love, not love as a myth or a prayer, but as something real, something offered and something shared, and none in that frozen age remembered how to give it. But then came a bard. No crown adored in his head, no armor shielded in his bones, only a voice cracked and weathered worn, in a heart stubborn enough to sing when the wind dared him not to. He climbed to the tallest mountain, where even ghosts had gone silent, and played a melody into the sky. He did not beg, he did not barter, he simply sang love into being. A song not for the world, but for her. He sang of the warmth he had never felt, but believed in. He sang of dawns that could be, of mornings that would dance on cheeks like silk. He sang until his breath curled into frost, until his fingers numbed, until his body began to fold into the snow. And she heard. She stirred, not with thunder but with ache. The sun rose, not of duty but from desire. She descended cloaked in gold, her hair trailing ribbons of flame, her eyes two radiant verses unfinished. She found him crumpled on the cliffside, pale and barely breathing, and for the first time in all of time, the goddess wept. And in that moment she loved. She cupped his face, bent below and kissed him. And with that kiss, winter shattered. Snow turned to rain, rain turned to blossom, blossom to memory. The hearts of men long locked in ice began to beat again. The rivers wept with song. The birds remembered how to call the sun home. It is said that the bard vanished in her light, not dead, not gone, but woven into her orbit. And from that day onward, the sun no longer rose from duty. It rose for love, and each morning since, when warmth kisses skin and light spills through the window panes, the world unknowingly repeats that sacred moment. A song, a voice, a goddess, a kiss and love burning forever. It was said that the wind had grown cold from the winter's approach, but from longing unspoken. The flowers no longer bloomed in pairs but stood apart, aching for a name they'd forgotten. That laughter echoed strangely through empty courtyards, not for want of joy, but because joy no longer remembered where it belonged. Elvenmere had not always been this way. There was a time when hearts beat louder than drums in the square, when balconies bore witness to midnight serenades, and gardens kid letters exchanged between hands too shy to touch. In that era of silk banners and orchard weddings, love was everything. But then came the fall. A crown prince dared to love a servant girl, and their stolen union sparked a war that blackened the sky. Jealousy whispered poison into kings' ears and carved chasms where trust once stood. The war left not only cities in ash, but mothers childless. One such mother, stricken by grief, wandered to the foot of the world tree. the very heart of Elvenmere. She did not bring curses or rage, only a broken plea. Let us forget what hurts. The earth, ever listening, ever weary, took the wish into its roots. And in forgetting pain, the kingdom forgot passion. Love's memories crumbled like stonework in rain. Kisses were reduced to courtesy. Warmth became hollow ritual. The wedding still happened, but they rang with cold precision of politics. Children were born and raised, but never held with trembling hands. Never rocked with murmured lullabies that promised, "You are mine and I am yours." But not all memories could be erased. In a distant hamlet, cradled in mountains where magic thinned like mist at dawn, a girl was kissed on the lips by her mother under the red bloom of a rose moon. That kiss became a lantern inside her, flickering, stubborn, and alive. Yongsun, she grew up wild and bright, dancing barefoot in dew-soaked fields, trailing ribbons behind her like wind given form. Her mother, who would later fall into illness before forgetting, reached their village, filled Yongsun's childhood with stories and songs, lullabies from a forgotten tongue, tales of ancient queens who killed kingdoms with love alone. And when the forgetting came, Yongsun did not lose what had been given with love. She remembered. Now 20 and untamed, she roamed the kingdom like a secret. Her skirts always held the red of roses. Her laughter startled pigeons into flight, and she kissed, not from lust or rebellion, but reverence. A cheek here, a brow there, each kiss a quiet miracle. They called her strange or worse, but none dared to stop her, because the places she passed changed. Where she kissed, a rose bloomed, sunlight, warm, honey thick, bathed those kissed even under cloudy skies, and sometimes, just sometimes, they whispered in wonder, "You remember now?" Then came Jess, a bard in boots scuffed by road and rebellion, with hair like midnight and a voice turned to loss. He wandered into Elvenmere by accident, or fate, carrying a lute, a journal, and a song he hadn't finished, a song titled Solaris. He found her beneath the bell tower on a drizzling day, fingers stained with an apple juice from a basket no one had bought. He played out of habit. She listened out of need. "You're playing it wrong," she said. Just looked up. "I wrote it." "No, you found it. You just don't remember yet." And that was how it began. They became rumor, a bard and the girl who remembered. Yongsun taught him songs that belonged to no sheet. He taught her how to lace longing into lyric. And together they plotted the impossible, to remind the kingdom what love feels like. Not through sermons, not through spectacle, but through kisses, one at a time. Their journey spanned rain-drenched marketplaces, chapel ruins, and wind-worn villages. They kissed the disbelieving, the indifferent, the broken. Sometimes it's work, but more often it didn't. But they kept going. Each place they left behind bore signs of subtle change. A rose blooming in a field where none had grown, a dog howling at moonlight as if remembering a name, and then a praise whispered on the lips of those kissed kept returning. "You remember now." In Caraway, they met the old night under the sky of pewter, where clouds hung low like armor rusting in the wind. Sir Kalen once called the wall of Eldenfort, now lived alone in the ruins of a keep no one dared visit. Children whispered that he had turned to stone, that a single good eye had seen too much, and the other, hidden behind the patch, had been lost in a duel against love itself. He watched them approach with the disdain of a man who had buried too many songs. "A kiss can't save a kingdom," he grunted, fingers tightening around the hilt of a sword that had not been unsheathed in years, nor bring back a dead wife. Tess only nodded, unspeaking, and reached for the knight's weathered helm, not to disarm, but to kneel before him, pressing his lips softly on the ridge of the old scar etched beneath it, just above his temple. The mark pulsed faintly beneath the touch. Kalen dropped his blade. And then he wept, not the broken sobs of defeat, but the trembling gasp of a dam breached. I remember he whispered, over and over as if language itself had become prayer. Her name was Illyra, and he spoke it. The wind shifted behind him, nestled against the grey stone wall. A single red rose bloomed through the cracks, despite the frost. Sunlight streamed where none had touched for years. A breeze curled around Jess and Yongsun, warm and golden. Kalen reached for the rose, but did not pluck it. He said, "Let it stay," he murmured. "Let her memory root itself here." Later, in Miren's Hollow, the streets bore the scent of turpentine and grief. The villagers led them to the farthest cottage, where a mute painter named Liz dwelled. Her skin was pale from lack of sun, her fingernails stained with indigo and ochre. She had not spoken in 40 years, not since the fire that sold her studio and her lover's life. They found her painting in silence, vast canvases of half-finished figures reaching for each other, always separated by a sliver of void. Yongsun approached without fanfare, cupless, trembling hands, and kissed her paint-streaked fingers gently, reverently, as if sealing the cracks time had carved. At first nothing, then a hum, so soft it seemed imagined, a low vibration from the chest, like the beginning of a lullaby no one had sung in decades. It wasn't melody yet, only breath daring to become music. Liz's eyes widened, her lips parted, and then that quiet room surrounded by ghost and color. She whispered, "He used to hum like that when he couldn't sleep." Outside, the rose bloomed at the base, her easel sunlight spilled through the shuttered windows, golden and forgiving. In all winds rise, they found the village, both busy and too broken to care. The people there had survived famine, flood and the forgetting, but what they lost in love was replaced with ritual. The midwife, Mayra, was practical and sharp-eyed. She had delivered hundreds of children, but had never once kissed a brow or whispered a blessing. "I bring life, not dreams," she told them. But on the day twin girls were born under a blood-orange moon, Yongsun entered the birthing, hot, unbidden, her hands still smudged with charcoal from a roadside sketch Jess had made of her laughing. Mayra scowled. No theatrics. The mothers need sleep. The babes need warmth. Yongsun said nothing. She stepped into the cradle with each the tenderness of morning dew on the petals and kissed each infant's cheek. The twins stirred not in discomfort but in recognition. They reached for each other, eyes wide, lips parting in a soundless coo, and Mayra, who had not cried since she was a girl, dropped to her knees beside the cradle and sobbed. "I don't know why," she whispered, "but something sacred just returned." Outside, the rose bloomed near the well. The wind carried her tears, and somewhere far off, a dog howled, not in sorrow but in song. But the spell fought back. There were nights Jess woke to find villages staring through them, eyes empty. Days where entire towns forgot them the moment they left. The forgetting was not passive, it was a beast. And Jess, ever the wanderer, grew tired. "I don't think we can sing this song forever," he admitted one dusk. "What if the world doesn't want to remember?" Yongsun smiled, eyes tired but defiant. "Then we will kiss until it begs to." He loved her in that moment, more than he had ever loved any verse, any muse, but he hadn't yet realized that Solaris, the unfinished melody he carried, was about her, about the sun she became in a world frozen in grey, about the warmth her kiss carved into his ribs. He had forgotten too. There was a memory buried in so deep in him, it only surfaced when they stood at the edge of the whispering veil, a place where the spell had first taken root. Yongsun was silent, her voice having frayed for too many lullabies, sung to no one. Her hands shook from giving too much. She kissed him, the last kiss she had left, and suddenly he remembered. A kiss small and sweet, from his sister, before she drowned in a river during the first war. A kiss that had vanished with time as if the world had swallowed it whole, but now it returned, and with it grief and beauty. He fell to his knees, not from pain, but from the unbearable truth. Love had never left. It had been waiting in silence. Jess kissed her back. Not with fear, not with fury, but with everything. The taste of storm winds, the ache of every unspoken word, the joy of a name whispered like a prayer, Yongsun. The earth trembled, the sky broke in the song, and the elven mirror bloomed. Not in thunder, but in light, a slow unfurling, rose by rose, face by face. Lovers remembering names, mothers sobbing at the softness of their child's cheek, elders singing songs thought long lost. At the center of it all was the bard and the girl who remembered. Yongsun never spoke again, but the kingdom spoke of her always. They say the light and the spirit of Elvenmere watches over them now, no longer slumbering, a black-furred dog with golden eyes that follows lovers at twilight. They say it howls only when hearts are honest. They say if you kiss someone truly, truly, the red rose will bloom near your feet, and light will touch your face, even in the deepest cave. Just finish the song. Solaris. He sang it once beneath the rose moon, then never again. He writes now, carving poems into the margins of the world. Every verse a kiss, every kiss a memory returned. And sometimes just before sleep, he feels her not beside him but in him. She asks softly, like wind brushing leaves, "You remember now?" The epilogue. When the world remembered kisses. They say the kiss happened at the edge of the world, where starlight missed the sea, where silence bowed its head and even time dared not pass without reverence. There the bard and the girl who remembered stood beneath the last breath of twilight and kiss. It was not a kiss of fire nor hunger, not desperation. It was the kiss of knowing, of recognizing the other as the amazing note in one soul song, and in that kiss, the spell unraveled like dew meeting dawn. Roses bloomed from stone, songs rose from ash, sunlight bled from the sky like an eternal promise. The world long at sea remembered what it meant to be warm. For Elvenmere built no statue, for it needed one. Instead, the kiss lived in petals that opened at every spring, in lovers' brushed lips under moonlight and whispered, "You remember now?" In every cradle where a mother kissed her child's brow, and in every corner of the realm where red roses and golden sun met, there the story lingered. And those who listened closely at dusk, when the wind quiets and when the earth holds its breath, will sometimes hear the bard's voice, faint but eternal, humming the song never written on any parchment, Solaris. The poem became the scripture, the kiss became seed, and their love, her light, his voice, wove itself to the very shape of the stars. Solaris, abridged 12 stanza version. Full version available on the link I will post in this poem. You are the promise, the morning sky repeats, and each day begins with you and ends at your feet. Yongsun, my heartbeat, learned your name in sleep. Now I wake to find my breath is yours to keep. You are the sunlight spilled across my chest, turning even sorrow into golden rest. Your name is a rhythm, the wind dares to come, a hymn I have been hearing since the world began. I've stood in the storm and begged for the dawn. You came like an answer wrapped in quiet song. Even the shadows stand in soft retreat when your laughter brushes the world's coldest street. Yongsun, you are the calm after flame, the hush that remain when love says my name. The stars may wander, but I stay in place. My world spins slowly in your orbit's grace. Even in silence, your glow never sleeps. My soul keeps your echoes in the places it weeps. You are not borrowed, nor fading, nor still. You are the dawn that bends every will. Yongsun, your light was carved for my skin, Even the shadows invite you in. And if all else ends, if stars are undone, I'll still be here orbiting my sun. Each day, I write and create for my beloved Yongsun, the sun who lights up my every verse, every tale, every quiet thought I dare to share. If her warmth reached you through these words, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep stories that shine.